And Jacksonville's morning news continues. We're live at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, and throughout the summer months, Tristyn Bailey, Rich Jones, and Jacksonville's morning news, we've been trying to get into the community and illuminate some of what's happening during the summer months in the effort of public safety, and now especially as we're into back to school mode. And last week we were in Jacksonville at the Sheriff's Office, and a number of storylines that developed over the last week or two leading up to that visit, as well as some of the public safety aspects, social media, trying to find missing persons, and the resources and the technology and how that's evolved. We visited recently with Clay County and Sheriff Michelle Cook and some of the resources that are available there. And then today, seeing the real-time crime center and some of the technology that's here. You're a resident, as am I, in St. Johns County. I just feel a little bit more safe walking out of the door today, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It was a pleasure to come here this morning.
I think to see all of the tools that are available to us, you know that they happen in the background, but until you see them, probably you don't really know. George Harrigan is in public information, and if you consider the way that you try to open the door to educate the public about all the tools that you have available to you, with limits, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that help to enhance the feeling of safety within this community?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a delicate line or a fine line. Certainly we don't want, bad actors or the bad guys to know everything that's going on behind the scenes, but we do want our public, the citizens at large, to know that we're doing some amazing things behind the scenes to keep this county safe. And a lot of times you don't even know what's happened. We've just stopped something or prevented a crime or preventing stuff from happening before you even know about it.
Because this community is transient, given that we're right along I-95 and we also have US 1, a lot of activity can happen there. How does that enhance, if you will, or how does that present different challenges maybe than surrounding communities in terms of how you police?
Yeah, absolutely. So SJSO, probably about 4 years ago, we initiated an interstate task force. So we have a special team of law enforcement officers who focus on interstate activities, human trafficking, narcotics trafficking, things of that nature. And during the time they've been operational, we've seen a significant drop in serious bodily injury crashes and fatality crashes in St. Johns County on major interstates or roadways.
How do you continue to see that effort improve? And will there be a day where we can eliminate them or get it to zero?
Yeah, certainly our goal is we'd love to eliminate it, but as you and I know, it's going to be hard to totally eliminate it. As the county grows, there's more and more people on the roadways, but we want it to be known that if you come through this county, there's a large law enforcement presence on the interstate, on state roads, and not to intimidate or scare, but just to keep people safe. It's just a constant reminder to slow down, drive safely, and be safe under whatever circumstances it is.
We're about to see construction begin of a new interchange off 95 for International Golf Parkway and in that area near World Golf Village. How might that impact safety, enforcement? I mean, it's going to take some time, obviously, during the construction.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm proud to say under Sheriff Hardwick's leadership, we're always ahead of the curve, so we see those things coming, and certainly we'll increase staff and resources and play that chess game and put the right players where they need to be for when that stuff occurs or when those things come to fruition.
Visiting with the Bailey family, Stacy and Forrest Bailey, as our conversation about internet safety, violence against women and women against violent encounters, the WOKV program, as Tristyn Bailey was killed in 2021 and discovered Mother's Day in May of 2021. And I flipped it around, Stacy, because it's women against violent encounters as opposed to violence against women. And I almost think that that's an important distinction in the way that this program works, because it's, I think, giving women more power. Do you see it that way as well?
100%.
Yeah.
They really do teach a lot of self-defense, self-awareness, that you don't think about.
What have you been able to learn along the way, and hope that future generations are able to pick up with the training and the resources that are available?
I'm really hoping that a lot of the young girls take the class so that they have those tools that they can better protect themselves. And when you look back at my daughter, that she fought really hard. Had she had more tools available to her, could she have gotten out of this situation? I don't know. But I hope that adult women have those tools to be able to fight off an attacker.
How active are you within the school community, and what opportunities are available as school is getting back? And are you finding that funding and opportunities are still available to your organization, your foundation, to try to increase the education?
I actually think we've had some great inroads with the school, and a lot of that, I have to be honest, I have to thank the Sheriff's Office for that. When we've had working with Homeland Security investigations with the iGuardian program, they were able to reach out, connect with the schools, allow us to have a number of sessions at the school. That being said, we've also found that we've had the community reaching out to us. So, Anchor Faith Church reached out for us to have a session there that was well attended. So sometimes it isn't just the school districts, it's other ways in which we get together as community where we can bring together both families and parents. So with a lot of new school board coming in, we're hoping over the next year or two that we actually probably increase some of the correspondence. Specifically around social media, we are really excited because in addition to the work that we have with Homeland Security investigations, Jennifer Dudden, who was the prosecutor on our case, she has a long history and background around some of the internet crimes against children and how those different facilities have come in. And she's working with Raven, which is a national organization trying to get change so that people are better protected when they're online and those things. But with her, we're hoping to develop a lot more that would allow children to kind of see when are things that when they're online, when do things start feeling wrong, so that they know who to reach out to. Because that's a big part. People online present themselves in some way. So what would be the things that would give them an idea that, hey, maybe who I'm talking to isn't somebody my own age on the other end, or they're trying to get too much information, as well as what we're putting out there. So from a social media standpoint, what Jennifer's doing is just incredible. We're excited about what we'll be able to do, and I think that we're going to continue to build and work with the school districts as well as around the community to present things around social media.
As you have lived this mission in the last 3 years really, but 4 years since Tristyn's death, beyond you have other kids. That was well documented in the news as well, older children, and I know they're around the country going to school. Has it become a family effort? Is there outreach even outside of the Bailey home in Durban to try to increase awareness, education?
There is, and in its own way, I think almost every single member of the family is involved with a different thing. A lot of it is more advisory. Stacy and I focus on a lot of the communications and things that are out there, but we are contacted on a regular basis, unfortunately, when other people lose kids and have kids taken in similar manners. And so we deal with a lot of other parents and talk to them about how they get through each day and each moment. Likewise, I know several of our children provide the same thing to siblings because it's the entire family that suffers that loss. And so in our own way, we lean on one another. The strength in what we've been able to do has been on leaning on each other's, as well as people in our community who are so wonderful. But in the family, we're all dealing with it. We're all dealing with the loss, and so we handle it in different ways. But it's trying to put pain into purpose seems to be a common thing that we're doing to keep Tristyn's memory and also to focus on the good that's in the world.
I know that this is part of your healing journey, but I think you have helped so many people, maybe without even realizing it. So thank you for everything that you do, because it must be so incredibly painful to relive this each and every time you do an interview like this.
Thank you.
I think about the the tools that are available that people don't take advantage of. So I want to provide that in the brief time that we have left. We're approaching the start of school. You all have a calendar of events, I'm sure, that goes crazy. What do you want to make sure that people are aware of in terms of what's coming up over the next several weeks or months that someone may be able to take advantage of WAVE, Women Against Violence Encounters, or internet safety presentations through the county? And I'll give you the floor, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So sjso.org is the main Sheriff's Office website, a plethora of information. WAVE has its own site on there under community programs, and you can see how to sign up, upcoming dates. It's very on demand, basically. The women law enforcement instructors, this is a collateral duty or a volunteer duty for them. So they have full-time law enforcement jobs, but as the demand comes in, we will schedule classes. So you can find it there, and then follow us on social media at Team SJSO, and we'll constantly push out information about online safety presentations in collaboration with the Baileys and other groups, as well as WAVE classes that are coming open to the public. And it's important to note, if you're a member of an organization and a business and HOA, you can also reach out to us and schedule a personalized WAVE class for your crew, your company, your family, your neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera.
Stacy, you didn't choose this, but as Forrest said, it's turning the pain into purpose. What sort of purpose do you see going forward with you and with this family and this organization and foundation? What's the future look like?
I think the future, it's hard because, you know, we still have so much grief, but giving back has been what's kept us going. And when you see, especially like Tristyn's friends, and you see them thriving, and you know, two of our best friends actually are going to college this year. Tristyn this would be her senior year. So looking at all of her friends and seeing how great they're doing, and knowing that we're still there for them, and that we can give back, and all of the kids that we didn't know that we're meeting now, being able to give them something that's important to us.
And Rich, I would chime in there and come back to some things that George said. For our foundation, we have either www.tristynbaileyfoundation.com, we'll go there, or easier, it's www.tbstrong.org. That will be a lot of the things that we have. However, Commander Harrigan here was referencing their social media. If I live in this area, I would be actively going out and looking at their Instagram page, looking at their Facebook page, listening to the podcast, because they do an excellent job of talking about some of the new things that come out. So the new internet challenges that come out that can be dangerous to kids, and all of these things. And you know, we have people that are in touch with us around the world, and they frankly follow our sheriff's office and what they're sharing because they're so good in their information and their community. So education is, as parents, as trusted adults, being aware of what's going on is the number one thing, and their resource is phenomenal. So I'd strongly encourage anybody who isn't doing that, just put a little reminder on your phone to check once a week and see what's out there.
Well, it's one of the reasons why we wanted to illuminate the great work that's happening here in St. Johns County and throughout our community by doing more than just the headlines or a 30-second story on the radio, which we have to do as part of the news storytelling in our community every day, but to peel back the curtain a little bit can be super valuable. Stacy and Forrest Bailey, thank you very much. And on behalf of all of us, God bless you guys and your family going forward on your mission. As Jacksonville's morning news continues at 9:53. Even during a law enforcement investigation, or as we see officers on patrol or deputies on patrol in the county, it's been really illuminating, especially in the days before back to school. It's kind of almost a quiet storm before the big show happens on Monday. How all are you anticipating back to school going next week based on all the work that's been happening through the summer months?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's kind of like the calm before the storm as we prepare for the first few weeks of school. And there's always going to be that, getting some reps in and getting used to the traffic. We have a couple of new schools and, new students and new families trying to navigate, drop off and pick up and things of that nature. So we're excited. And we appreciate you guys being here to highlight the Sheriff's Office. We're excited and proud of what we do behind the scenes. And we kind of love showing it off, for lack of better words.
It's interesting, that transparency and how it's changed. We saw that last week when we were at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and is that a mindset shift for law enforcement in general to welcome in the public and, if you will, the scrutiny and the spotlight to show what you're doing on a daily basis to increase understanding?
I think it's an intentional mindset in law enforcement. I think, being partners with the community is the mindset that we have to have, and that's what we have. I think you'll see all of our agencies in Northeast Florida, we work well together, and it just makes sense for us to be interwoven into our communities. It just makes sense.
There's a lot of community effort that happens to help to keep families and children safe, and one of those in St. Johns County, if you lived in the county long enough, dating back to 2021, and the loss of a beautiful young soul in Tristyn Bailey, how her parents and her family have really tried to use that loss to illuminate safety for kids and for families. Stacy and Forrest Bailey join us this morning, and thank you for taking the time. And I don't think 4 years later it's any easier to talk about the loss of Tristyn, but as you continue to gather together with George, with the St. John Sheriff's Office, is the message getting easier for you to share about the loss and how you're trying to use that to help other families, Stacy?
I'm not sure that it gets easier. I don't think it ever gets easier. But it becomes more important to us that we want to make sure that kids out there are safe and that they have tools to be able to use to help better protect themselves.
What have you been learning about the tools and how easy it is for a young person to fall victim as you've been on this journey?
It's amazing the things that, and especially for adults, not knowing how fast the apps come up on, your phones and social media. Like, learning all of that stuff for us it's been mind-blowing how quickly people can get sucked into bad things.
Yeah.
Forrest, did you know these tools were out there?
Had no idea the tools were out there to the extent that they are. It certainly is something where particularly if you look at across Northeast Florida and you look at our environment, our children have a level of freedom that we're just not used to. They, with the electronic devices that they have and the apps that are on there, they're always connected to everybody. The good things as you go around our communities and the kids are out and about enjoying being young. They're in their golf carts, they're riding around. So there's a lot of ways in which they're more mobile and they're more connected than as the parents we may have necessarily had. So with that, they have the ability to contact, whether it's their adults or, the parents or whoever, and so they're always close by, yet those scary situations can come up. As we were starting, you were talking about this community and particularly the sheriffs, and I certainly think Sheriff Hardwick's done an amazing job in the way that he's connected with the communities. And even like the other day, I was looking at the announcements of when the schools are going back in and the resource officers and all of those things. And I think it's critical when you have so many dangers that can come from the outside in terms of social media where kids can get preyed upon, to have that leadership and that mindset that we see from so many of the sheriffs in this area to connect, so that when kids get into dangerous situations, they have somebody to turn to. And certainly, one of the things we've enjoyed working with the St. John Sheriff's Office about is the Women Against Violent Encounter program that they have. It's absolutely phenomenal, and the thing that they do so well in it is they teach and they hit upon some physical techniques to get away, but they also teach a lot about mindset and about how not to become a victim. And I think that's so important, because the way that people can come after you is something like we've never seen before.
Stacy, as a woman, what have you learned from that? And how has that even helped you since you've been involved?
I think one of the biggest things that was eye-opening to me was when they were talking about, we had a huge class full of girls and moms in the classroom, and she asked everyone, what did you see when you walked into this room? She's like, how would you get out? Where's the exit? How do you realize your surroundings? Did you see the people? And they started talking to the people about, when you walk into Target, who are you looking for? How are you going to get out if a gunman comes in? How do you figure out how to navigate to get out? And I thought that was pretty eye-opening, because I immediately started looking, where's the exit? How do I get out?
Behaviors need to change. I mean, we've been learning that, Christine, through the years,
Absolutely.
ever since Columbine, and then when we saw from a school standpoint, and then movie theaters, for example. We just went to a movie the other day, and we were looking at where the exits might be.
And we are so clueless as a society, especially because we're on our phones walking into stores and we're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people too, just practice looking at what kind of cars are around you and trying to remember that when you're walking through the door. Oh, I saw a black car and parked in the second spot. And if I remember that, because that just changes your mindset.
Well, and one of the leaders in the WAVE program, she does a game with her daughter, and I'll never forget, she said, I practice with her when we go into the store. Hey, I want you to find somebody that's wearing a yellow hat. I want you to find somebody that's wearing a red sweatshirt, so that her daughter is always looking for something.
And Kristen, you said something in there that they also pick up on in the class, that just importance of looking up. It's as you said, we all have our cell phones and we're looking down, but they teach people every once in a while, just look up, look somebody in the eye, because you kind of communicate pretty quickly, I'm not going to be a victim. And those little things make a huge difference. And it's new for us to have to start integrating that as a habit. I have to share a funny story from one of the WAVE programs, because they do talk about, kind of how you have a plan and how you do things. And they highlighted some of the dangers that can happen even when you stop and you get gas. And there's been a number of crimes where people are stopping, getting gas, somebody's jumping in, stealing the car, because so many of us leave our cars unlocked. And particularly with us being right on 95, it's a potential hazard here. And our oldest daughter took that and started changing her habits when she went and got gas. And as soon as she got out, she'd lock the car and go and get gas. Well, she learned that as soon as she locked the car, her gas tank thing actually locked. So on some of the cars, you can't steal the gas. So, you have to get the timing of it all down. But it's amazing what this class can do, and the instructors in there make it so fun. And that people have a good time. There's a lot of laughter, but they learn things that you come out and you become a much safer person out there. It's a great program.
And
Stacy-
WAVE is a great acronym, but it's not just for women.
Yeah, that's true. Stacy and Forrest Bailey are visiting with us, and if you are new to the community, they lost their daughter Tristyn in 2021, Mother's Day weekend, sadly, and that was a peer-to-peer relationship. You didn't seek out the spotlight that you now have, and maybe the forum that you have as well. How have you embraced that, knowing that it comes with the loss, and what do you hope to gain out of this spotlight that you continue to have to do good in the community that you still call home? I mean, you didn't go hide. You are front and center in this community, still live in your home, still wearing your aqua blue, still keeping Tristyn's name alive.
Yeah, I think for us, there's two things. it's our daughter and remembering our daughter and the good she had done, the relationships she had, what she was doing well with her teammates, with her classmates in the community, and continuing to keep that spirit going forward. You asked about it at the start. It's been 4 years. As somebody who's had your kid taken from you, time it works on a different continuum. And, for myself, I'm going to say I'm not any better. It's not something you heal from. It is something that, the grief and dealing with it is difficult, but you get better at dealing with it. And that's what we're learning. And the foundation is very important because it's that remembrance of Tristyn. The other thing is, for me, it's also giving back a lot of what this community gave. This Northeast Florida was just absolutely incredible in their support for us. As you said, when you have these moments, there's definitely a part of you that just wants to disappear into the background. The nature of this, where it was on Mother's Day, our daughter was brutally killed by somebody that she really didn't have a relationship with. It was a classmate at the school, but we talk about social media dangers too. 3 hours before she was killed, they were not connected on social media or anything like that. So there's a lot of elements there, but she fought for her life. She had 49 defensive stab wounds, and so programs like WAVE, we look at it and we think that by taking something wonderful that the St. John Sheriff's Office and had in place for a number of years has been providing to the community, by bringing more attention to it, getting more people focused on it, hopefully more people take advantage of it. I look at it right now, if you have a young person who's going off to university and they haven't been through something like that, it's a missed opportunity. I would find it right away, right? Use these classes, because our intent is remember our daughter, give back to the community, and the biggest thing is, we will never know the success of it, but I certainly hope that one family will never be in the position we've been in, because they've taken advantage of some of the things that we're trying to push out there.
And how easy is it, Stacy, to connect with the organization and to connect with these resources?
Super easy. You can go, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We also have our website at TristynBaileyFoundation.com.
Tons of resources that are available to you. We'll pause the conversation there. I want to talk about how your family has embraced the opportunity in giving back to the community that you call home and continue to call home, and how we can continue to teach the greater community with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office here. We're live on location in St. Augustine, 924 on the Wednesday edition of Jacksonville's Morning News.